Okay.
Adequate notice of this meeting of the mayor and council was sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Coast Star, our official newspapers, on December 11th, 2024, and notice of this meeting was posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building. Take roll call. Councilwoman Donovan? Here. Mayor Buckafusco?
Here.
Councilman Montanaro?
Here.
Councilman Levis and Councilwoman Kinney are absent.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for our troops, their families, first responders. Thank you. I think before we sit down, we have a special resolution here tonight honoring our chief, Chief Scott, and we would like to come down and present it to you. If that's okay?
No, that's you too, yeah. Hi, Trailblazer.
I think I can talk loud enough.
You're good?
Yes, I believe I'm at my 8th grade science class. Honoring Police Chief Tina Scott. Whereas Police Chief Tina Scott was selected to receive the Outstanding Woman in Government Award from the New Jersey League of Municipalities Women in Municipal Government Committee on November 19th, 2025. And whereas Chief Scott began her distinguished career with the Borough of Belmar Police Department in 2001 when she was appointed as a police officer. And whereas through dedication, professionalism, and exemplary service to the community, Chief Scott steadily advanced through the ranks of the Belmar Police Department. And whereas in 2020, Chief Scott was appointed as Police Chief of the Borough of Belmar, becoming a leader and role model for law enforcement professionals throughout the state. And whereas Chief Scott's leadership has been marked by her commitment to community policing, public safety, and the professional development of officers under her command. And whereas the Outstanding Woman in Government Award recognizes exceptional women leaders who have made significant contributions to municipal government and their communities. And whereas Chief Scott recognition by the New Jersey League of Municipality reflects not only her personal achievements, but also brings honor to the Borough of Belmar and its residents. And now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar hereby wish to recognize and celebrate Chief Scott's outstanding accomplishments and express their gratitude for her continued service to the Borough of Belmar. Why don't you hold that and we'll get the photo op here. Thank you, thank
I
you.
just want to thank the mayor and council, the administration of Belmar, my police department, the Belmar Police Department, the fire department, the EMS, and of course the residents of the town. I've been here since I was 18 years old, so this has been my life, and I thoroughly enjoy it, and it's all of you that helped me get this award, so thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, moving right along, we're going into a workshop discussion. And tonight we're going to have a recap of and an update of our affordable housing, affordable housing group, round 3 and round 4, things that we've been doing. So I'm going to invite, are we ready to roll with that?
I just have to connect with April and get
Okay.
there's something.
We have here Francine McManaman, who is one of our redevelopment attorneys who's been working very hard to get us through this process. And I'm happy to say that the third round process is just about completed. We have a few resolutions on tonight that are actually required for us to complete that process. I'm just looking here. We have the 2025-210, which is adopting an affirmative fair housing marketing plan. And then 211 is approving an affordable housing spending plan. And for, I think, our fourth round, we have a resolution referring a proposed amendment to the Seaport redevelopment plan to the planning board. So we have a few things on tonight that pertain to this. So I'm going to turn it over to Francine, and she'll give us an update on that.
I don't have anything. I can work in
There
the.
usually is one up here. It's just one.
We need an adapter, there's a plug in that for that.
Should I shoot it over to April? Can you pull it up on hers quicker?
Can you shoot it over there?
I don't have HDMI.
Oh, I'll go get an adapter.
I have HDMI.
Um,
Oh, you want to send it to me?
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, let me make sure I have Wi-Fi first. Oh, yeah.
Is that going to work both of yours then?
Yeah, I just gotta, all right, guys.
If not, I'll get an adapter.
It's a meeting with a capital G. 24
Yeah, and I'm embarrassing up there. What were you going to do?
Something went wrong.
Oh, that's just because I wasn't.
Okay. That should work.
So what are we doing?
Emailing it.
Trying to open my mail, which is not opening, so just.
I'm just gonna wait 1 second.
I can do it off of mine.
No, we can do it off mine, I
If
just
he has an
I'm on-
adapter.
thought it would be
for
best
Apple.
not to have my full email.
But it might
No offense,
work
guys.
remotely connected. My email's very
So as
slow.
soon as you send it to me, I can,
Yeah, if it's opening now.
do you want me to say?
While we're waiting, I'll say that there is a resolution on here that is, I believe, the last one on the agenda, resolution opposing Bill S 4736. Thought I would bring it up, let me put my notes up here. This is a bill that's put forward by State Senator Troy Singleton, which would allow nonprofit and religious organizations to convert buildings they own into residential units with affordables and bypass local planning boards as well as zoning and environmental regulations. So we have out there opposing that bill. We all agree that affordable housing is a problem in New Jersey, but this is not a good way to address it. State regulations already allow builders to bypass zoning, ignore environmental impacts and strains on infrastructure, and we would like to see things that address these issues rather than create more loopholes.
Are you waiting for the PowerPoint? 'Cause
Yes.
I can send it to you.
Okay, yeah.
I'm assuming it's the same one.
I just sent it to,
Oh, you did? Okay.
yep, I just sent it to the councilwoman.
Oh, there it is. Get that up. Let's just put it connected to the slides rather Whatever you tell me, I will.
Okay, great, thank you. Good evening, Francie McManaman, Scotland and Bauman. We serve as redevelopment and affordable housing council for the borough. So as the mayor said, I'm here tonight to provide an update on what's been going on with the affordable housing process for both rounds 3 and rounds 4 for the borough. So starting with round 3, go to the next slide. A compliance hearing was held on October 17th, 2025, and following the compliance hearing, the court issued an order granting conditional third round judgment of compliance and repose, subject to the following conditions. And the mayor referenced some of them already: that the borough adopt a spending plan for the borough's Affordable Housing Trust Fund, that's on this evening's agenda; that the borough adopt an affirmative marketing plan, which is also on this evening's agenda; and that the borough adopt the amendment to the Seaport redevelopment plan for a redevelopment project on 7th Avenue. The third round ended on June 30th, 2025. Moving to the fourth round. So these are some key dates so far that have occurred in the fourth round. January 28th, 2025, the borough adopted a resolution which adopted the DCA's, or the Department of Community Affairs, calculation of the borough's fourth round present need, which is rehabilitation, and prospective need, new construction, subject to a vacant land adjustment. So those DCA numbers were 0 present need, which is 0 rehabilitation obligation, and a prospective need, or new construction need, of 43 units. Again, that's subject to a vacant land adjustment, which is similar to what the borough did for the third round. On June 16th, the borough adopted the fourth round housing element and fair share plan. After it was already reviewed by the planning board adopted it, and then it came to council, and council approved it as well. In August of 2025, 3 challenges were filed to the borough's housing element and fair share plan. A challenge was filed from Fair Share Housing Center. A challenge was filed from a redeveloper named 101 4th Avenue LLC, and from 7th Avenue Associates. The 7th Avenue Associates challenge was withdrawn in connection with the consent order, or the compliance order that was issued in the third round.
I'm just going to interrupt you for a second, just to let people know. The fourth round plan has different rules than the third round. They changed that, and a lot of the dates were very expedited. So, for example, the challenges to the borough's plan had to be done by, I think it was August 31st, correct?
Yes.
And the fact that we adopted our plan on June 16th, 2025, again, there was a deadline for us to do that. So the whole idea when the legislature changed the rules was to keep the fourth round moving. So that's why we have, some of these dates are significant in terms of what the law is asking us to do. I just wanted to point that out.
Absolutely, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, all of these dates are in accordance with the Fair Housing Act, the amended Fair Housing Act, which by by January 30th, the municipalities had to adopt the DCA numbers. By June 30th, municipalities had to adopt the housing element and fair share plan. By August 30th, all the challenges had to be filed. By December 31st, municipalities are required to commit to revising the housing element and fair share plan to address the challenges, or to explain why they're not revising their housing element and fair share plan in response to the challenges. So as the mayor said, this is a extremely expedited timetable, much different than what has been experienced in prior rounds. By March 15th, 2026, the municipalities are required to amend their housing element and fair share plans and adopt resolutions and ordinances that are required by that housing element and fair share plan. So basically by March 15th, all municipalities have to take the action they say they're going to do in their housing element and fair share plans. Now, digging in a little deeper into the challenges that were filed. As I mentioned, Fair Share Housing Center filed a challenge to the borough's fourth round plan. These are the key points in that challenge. First, Fair Share Housing Center was seeking to terminate the borough's fourth round immunity, which would have exposed the borough to builders' remedy lawsuits, which were extensively discussed in the third round presentations. We can review that again if anyone has any questions. That was subsequently withdrawn again following the compliance order that was issued after the compliance hearing for the third round. Fair Share Housing also disputes the vacant land adjustment and the realistic development potential calculation that were included in the borough's housing element and fair share plan. So as I mentioned, even though the borough adopted a resolution accepting DCA's number of 43, it was subject to a vacant land adjustment. And similarly to what was done for the third round, the borough planner took a vacant land adjustment, which calculates the vacant land within the borough. And within that calculation, makes an estimate as to how much land is actually available for development, and generates the realistic development potential calculation or RDP. There's also a requirement to address the borough's unmet need obligation. The way unmet need is calculated is the original number that DCA calculated minus the realistic development potential number, and that's how the borough gets its unmet need. And as the mayor mentioned, there are a lot of new provisions for the fourth round. One of those requirements is that the borough is required to demonstrate in its housing element and fair share plan how it's going to meet 25% of that unmet need.
And again, I think I'm correct in saying that Fair Share Housing Center objected to every plan?
Throughout the state.
Throughout the state?
Yes,
So this is not a unique thing for Belmar. They just across the board objected to all of them.
They objected to, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 463 plans throughout the state of New Jersey, yes.
Can you, in plain language, explain what they were disputing about the vacant land adjustment?
We are still in settlement negotiations with them. We still, what's happened so far in the fourth round is we've had 2 case management conferences, and now we're moving to a session. So they are saying that the borough, and this is in public documents, what I'm not going to go into tonight is sort of the substance of the settlement negotiations or what's going to be discussed in the session, because obviously that's ongoing litigation. These are public documents, and what the borough, what Fair Share Housing, both the challenges from Fair Share Housing and the other developers to the calculation of the VLA and the realistic development potential are that the borough just relied on the calculation from the third round. And they didn't do any new analysis, which ignores the analysis that was included in the housing element and fair share plan. So the borough planner did do a new analysis and updated analysis. Yes, it hasn't changed much from the third round because the borough just adopted its third round housing element and fair share plan within the past couple months. So there's not a significant difference between the third round vacant land adjustment and the fourth round vacant land adjustment, but the borough planner did do a new vacant land adjustment, which was not referenced or acknowledged at all in the challenges. They did not submit necessarily a number that they were looking for, if that's what you're asking. They were not looking for a specific calculation or this should be the borough's number. They were just saying you didn't do what you were supposed to do as far as completing a new vacant land adjustment.
Well, more just, is their basic allegation that Belmar has unused land out there that we are not claiming that we could be building on?
Again, they really haven't presented that yet in the session, but I anticipate once the argument, we haven't had an opportunity to actually have an oral argument in front of a program judge, but once we have that, that's likely going to be their argument, yes.
Thank you.
I'm gonna make a point on this next slide.
Oh,
If you don't. This 101 4th Avenue LLC, this is the property that contains the restaurant La Dolce Vita. And the 104 4th Avenue LLC is basically, the main principal in that is Nick Fusilli. And I want to get that out there because I want people to understand that this is the corner of 4th Avenue and Ocean Avenue, almost half of 4th Avenue between 5th Avenue. Okay?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So yes, the other challenge to the borough's housing element fair share plan is from a developer known as 101 4th Avenue LLC. As the mayor referenced, this site is on the corner of 4th and Ocean. The borough first received a plan regarding this project in February of 2025. That original project that was submitted to the borough was not what's called an inclusionary project. That project provided for a 5-story building with the market rate units located on the Ocean Avenue site and with the first floor parking garage. All of the affordable units were going to be located, these 7 affordable units were going to be located off-site at 107 10th Avenue in a 4-story building. So pulling out the affordable units and putting them on a different location is not permitted under the affordable housing regulations. So the borough did not include it in its housing element fair share plan for two reasons. First of all, it's a vibrant commercial property, as the mayor mentioned, that's the location of La Dolce Vita restaurant. So there's no reason to include it in a vacant land adjustment or analysis. And also that the project was not an inclusionary project. It did not meet the definition of an inclusionary project. It did not include affordable housing units with market rate units on the same site. When the developer filed its challenge on August 29th, 2025, the developer revised the project. It was the first time the borough had seen the revised project, and at that point, the project did include all of the affordables and market rates at one location, that location of 4th and Ocean. The proposed project is for 30 units with 6 affordable units, a 4-story building, with the first floor being a parking garage. So a parking garage that would front Ocean and 4th. Go to the next slide. This is just an aerial view of that site. The next slide is the renderings that the borough received in connection with the February 2025 project. The borough has not received any renderings or was not included. And this is what's in this. These are project descriptions and drawings that were included in the challenge that was submitted to the program challenging the housing element fair share plan. So this is the February 2025 project. These are the renderings. You can see that it's a 5-story building that includes first floor parking garage. You can move to the next slide. This is just the parking layout for the first floor. And then the next slide is the floor plan for the February 2025 project. Now, moving to the next slide, this is the amended project that was included in the challenge that was submitted in August. So you can see, even though the borough hasn't received renderings, the footprint of the excuse me, the footprint of the building is the same. So it's reasonable to anticipate that the renderings are going to be very similar. This is the first floor of the building. This is going to be, the first floor is still planned to be a parking garage fronting 4th and Ocean. And then the next slide, please. This is the floor plans for floors. This is a 4-story building now, floors 2, 3, and 4. This would be what the floor plan would be for those residential units.
I have a question. Were these going to be for sale units or are these rentals?
We have not received that information as part of their submission.
Fred, can you back up to the parking? These are all tandem parking spaces?
Looks like it.
That's what's been provided.
And how many pairs are there?
The proposed parking is 63 spaces.
You can move on to the next couple. Yeah, one more. Going, yeah. So we are now in the 4th round, even though we're still adopting some legislation that will be linked back to the 3rd round. All municipalities are now in the 4th round. And as far as the status of the 4th round, as I mentioned, there are ongoing negotiations with Fair Share Housing Center, 101 4th Avenue, the special adjudicator, and the program judge. What's new for the 4th round is there's no more COA, there's no more Council on Affordable Housing. There's really, they've been trying to move it out of the courts per se and move it into what's called the program with a capital P. And the program is run by a number of retired judges. So that's who's that's who we're appearing in front of for the case management conferences and for the sessions. So they are now managing and adjudicating these 4th round settlements. The 4th round program judge for Belmar, just in case anybody's interested, is Judge Bookbinder. So we are in the process of ongoing negotiations. There's going to be a session, which is the next step in the process, on December 10th. Even though we are in settlement negotiations, we're not going to get into too many details as to the plans for how the borough is going to address these challenges. Generally speaking, the plan to address the borough's realistic development potential, or RDP obligation, is with the 7th Avenue project. And its plan to address unmet need is through adopting a new overlay zone. There was an overlay zone adopted along Main Street to address the unmet need for the 3rd round. So the planners and the borough are currently working on developing an overlay zone that would address the unmet need for the 4th round as well. As far as next steps go, as the mayor mentioned, there are a number of items on tonight's agenda to adopt legislation which are required to finalize the 3rd round. And then, as I mentioned, the next event with the program is going to be on December 10th. There'll be a session to present the borough's plan to address the challenges that were issues that were raised by the challenges.
I just want to clarify in my own mind though. So moving forward with the 4th round plan, there's 3 possible scenarios. In other words, we continue negotiating and we come to some kind of a settlement, correct?
Yes.
That's a
yes.
possibility.
Yes.
Or we continue negotiating and we don't, and then it reverts back to the affordable housing judge, and then there would be, in essence, a hearing or a trial.
That's what's coming up. The next event is the December 10th, which is the hearing. That's the hearing on the challenges. So really the opportunity to negotiate and settle, while it's always ongoing, we're going to have the hearing, which is sort of similar to a trial, although there won't be testimony, on December 10th, when the borough will, the pleadings are due from the challengers, I think, next week, and then the borough responds to those pleadings, and then the matter will be heard on December 10th. At that point, the judge will be, within a certain period of time after that, the program judge will make a decision. That decision is subject to appeal by any of the parties to the designated Mount Laurel judge in the county.
Okay, so it will be Judge Bookbinder who will be holding that?
Judge Bookbinder will hold the session.
The
yeah.
session.
Yes.
So it could turn out anyway. He could say, yes, we're going to go with the plan that the people who filed the objection to, or we're not. Okay, I mean, that's basically.
At that point,
Yeah.
what will need to be resolved is the realistic development potential number,
Right.
and how the borough is going to address that, how the borough will address, once the realistic development potential number is determined, then it will be determined what the borough's unmet need obligation is, and then the borough will need to submit, there'll need to be a resolution as to how that unmet need number is going to be met, and then a determination as to if the borough will be required to include the 4th and Ocean project in its housing element and fair share plan, which could be ordered by the program judge, yes, to address either redevelopment, RDP, or unmet need.
So we will know on December
No.
10th what the
No.
realistic development number is?
No, the judge we will make, the arguments will be made on December 10th. I do not know these judges, since it's an extremely compressed timetable. They're hearing a lot of matters. I do not know what their timing is as far as turning opinions around.
It's challenging for the municipalities and I'm sure all the boards to make these decisions when we don't know what that number is. At least I find it frustrating.
The other point I want to make, which is.
If I could, just to answer the councilwoman's question, there is a realistic development potential number, an RDP number included in the borough's housing element and fair share plan of 5. So just to put it in perspective as to what we're looking for, it's 5. And so, or that was what the borough's position was, based on its vacant land adjustment, was that it could produce 5 units. The 7th Avenue project, which the borough was considering starting the process to consider adopting an amendment to the Seaport redevelopment plan for that project. That project includes 10 affordable units. So that would be at a minimum what the RDP would be 10, because that's what the affordable units in that project are.
So at that point, technically it would be met.
That's the borough's position, is that the way to satisfy the RDP is with that project produces 10, that's what the RDP is.
One of the reasons why I wanted to have this tonight was because when we were starting off the 3rd round and going through the 3rd round, many people were upset about the so-called lack of transparency. Like why we couldn't just, get together with the developers and make a deal and not go through affordable housing and all this other kind of stuff. And we tried to explain that, I think, as clearly as we could as to why we had to do what we did. This is a little different now, and I want to bring the public, into this, saying that this is it, this is step. We're at the beginning of this process here, and they're not interveners. We don't have to worry about a builder's remedy suit or whatever. This is now, a developer who wants to put a development on 4th and Ocean Avenue, and it's going to ultimately probably be decided by a judge. And my point is, I think we, the public, should weigh in on this in terms of what is it that we want. Because, we're doing the legal end of things, which is, numbers and all this other stuff. But I think a message has to be sent to developers, and especially developers who are owners in the borough, that, we want this or we don't want it. And, in my personal opinion, I don't want to see a 4-story building on Ocean Avenue with ground level parking facing the ocean. That's just my personal opinion. And, what I would like to recommend to people is, I'd like to know how many people in the borough want that. And how can you let me know? Well, you know what? We have a meeting on December 9th, I believe. And, my challenge is, if you want that type of a building on Ocean Avenue, then come to the meeting and say that. And if you don't want that type of building on Ocean Avenue, then come to the meeting and say that. This is your chance, right? We're being as transparent as we can. But this is the chance for the residents to come up and say what they want. We're constrained by the legal process. We can only do what we can do with the courts. But, I think sometimes we all feel frustrated, myself as a resident, that we don't have enough input as to what was going on. So this is a whole different ballgame. I think the time to get your input heard is now. You can write to me if you object or if you're in favor of it, but I think at some point we quickly have to let it be known that, yes, this is something that residents of Belmar want, or this is something that we don't want. And perhaps we can, with a little influence and a little begging, get the developer to just withdraw the objection, because that is always a possibility. There's a lot of stuff that can be developed on that corner within the existing zoning laws. Right? So, there's a lot of different options. So my point is, this option is not, in my mind again, is not the best option. And I think, as I said, time to speak up. So, and that was one of my points in bringing that, up tonight. Because I didn't want people to say, on December 11th, or whenever this is decided, like, we didn't know, we didn't know that this was going to happen. And, and that was what we heard, in the 3rd round, which was a totally different process, as I said. But now we all know, okay? So, I think we've been as transparent as we possibly can. And we're doing as much as we possibly can legally. But, I know I would like to hear what the residents feel would be appropriate for that area, or would not be appropriate. So, I'll leave it at that. Any other?
No, Mayor.
Okay, council, do you have any questions or comments?
I just have a question as far as the spending plan. And so is that's adopted for the 3rd round, to wrap up the 3rd round, is that right?
It's actually part of both. It's a
Okay.
3rd round and 4th round. The borough has adopted its development fee ordinance under which it's been collecting fees since 2023. But the borough can't spend any fees until the court approves its spending plan. So we need to go through a process of the borough needs to approve its spending plan, we need to submit it to the court needs to approve it, and then we need to execute a consent order with Fair Share Housing to authorize the borough to start spending under the spending plan.
I had a question about that. It bookmarks a certain, I think it was $30,000 per unit for rehab in the upcoming year. What units are we talking about?
I don't have that information. The spending plan is developed by the planner, but I can say that there might not be specific units. It's just part of the plan to meet its third round rehabilitation obligation. So while there might not be any units that are specifically earmarked as units come to the borough and are brought to the borough, that's what it's estimating that it would be spending for those units in order to satisfy its third round rehabilitation obligation, without having specific units earmarked.
These are not borough-owned units.
No,
so
no.
So
If redevelopers wanted to come and say, we can rehab this and make affordable housing units, again, it's to facilitate an affordable housing program throughout the borough. These are not borough-owned units, it's to facilitate financing and funding to make available to developers who are in the business of rehabilitating properties to be used for affordable housing.
and are these units that would be being converted into affordables?
They would be required to ultimately be used as affordable housing, yes,
Thank you.
yes.
So the benefit to the developer would be that they would get a little more money,
Financial assistance.
financial incentive to
Right,
do
exactly.
that.
Yes.
Any other questions? Okay, any other matters for workshop? Nope. Okay, let's move on to any petitions.
Mayor, I did not receive any petitions.
Okay, approval of minutes.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the November 11th meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Councilwoman Donovan?
Yes.
Mayor Melchifusco?
Yes.
Councilwoman Montanaro?
Yes.
Reports of council. Councilwoman Donovan.
Congratulations, Chief Scott.
Thank you.
It was wonderful to come down and see you receive that award. I want to say every year we have the kids from the elementary school come and they do a mock trial, they tour the courthouse, they love seeing the jail. And one of the features in the police station, if you've ever been back there, is the portraits of all the police chiefs. And when you get to the last one, she's a little different from the rest of them. And I just want to say, like, it's so great because when the kids come in, they don't just see a police officer, they don't just see a woman, they see a role model, and thank you so much for all that you've done.
Now, what are we doing?
The Monmouth County Municipal Open Space Grant Program has awarded the Borough of Belmar a $203,341 grant to renovate the walking trail around Silver Lake and make other improvements. So that's going to include complete reconstruction of the existing trail with a permeable pavement, so that will be like the walking trail that circles Lake Como. And this will not only be nicer to look at, nicer to run on, nicer to walk on, but it's also going to improve water quality, which is one of our big goals for this project. So right now, when rainwater comes out, it goes straight into the lake along with what other type of animal droppings might be there. We have had an ongoing high hazardous algae bloom in Silver Lake. It improved actually over last year to this year, which is fantastic news. But we expect that this project will help improve the water quality because the water will be absorbed back into the soil and filtered before it goes to the lake. So wonderful news, much thanks to our borough engineer, Jim Orris, right over there. And this also includes other great amenities. It's like potentially benches, dogway stations, bike ramps, ADA compliant ramps, and potential perimeter lighting upgrades. So wonderful news for the ongoing project that is Silver Lake. We have that ongoing Army Corps of Engineer planning grant, which again, our engineer has been very busy on collecting storm sewer infrastructure inventory, scheduling a lake survey, and this will work in tandem with that because that is the long-term expert-led plan. And this is going to be something that residents will see those immediate improvements to make their lives and all of our lives a little better, a little happier. So thank you. Patchwork for Wildlife, we have our 5th award celebration that's recognizing people's efforts to improve the environment right in their yards. It includes 5 different communities now, including Belmar and Lake Como. So all of you are invited to join via Zoom Monday, December 2nd at 7 p.m. For more information with the Zoom link, you can contact me or check out Facebook. We have holiday lights, the holiday that's coming up. We have the Christmas tree lighting at 6 p.m. in Piano Plaza on December 4th. The Holiday Light Show, December 13th at 6 p.m. also in Piano Plaza. The Holly Jolly Trolley Tour, which I wasn't sure I was going to be able to say. Saturday, December 13th. Scoops with Santa, which is a PTO-led event from the elementary school, will be 1 to 4 p.m. in Taylor Pavilion on the 14th. The Nora lighting will be Monday the 15th, which is always a wonderful event. I really encourage everyone to come out to it. Chris Brandel does a great job leading that. And the final holiday light show, December 20th at 6 p.m. in Piano Plaza. And finally, the one last thing that the Tourism Committee is looking at will be evaluating our ordinance to see with the new Netflix facility coming in, what ordinances we want to tighten, which ones we want to change to either encourage or discourage filming here in Belmar. So, thank you all. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we'll see you after that.
Thank you. Council President Montanaro.
Thank you, Mayor. Do we know, Councilwoman Donovan, if the holiday market is still happening on the 13th and 14th?
I thought so.
I thought so.
It is.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Wonderful. I very much also enjoyed seeing Chief Scott get her award at the League. It was a proud moment for me. I remember her being sworn in and bringing my daughter along and saying, this is a huge moment for Belmar. And it's just been a wonderful opportunity to work with you, and we're just so grateful for your leadership, so thank you. We all attended the opening of Emilio's Kitchen, which is a new restaurant on Main Street. It's 1006 Main Street. If you haven't tried it, it's delicious. The food is organic, fresh, absolutely delicious. So please check that out. As Councilwoman Donovan is saying, there's a lot of events happening for the holidays. I'm going to add just a few. The December 11th holiday concert is actually at max capacity for the library. So the vocal stylings of Zach Alexander sold out the crowd for that. But if you want a holiday experience, you can come to the Belmar Elementary School Choral and Band Concert, which starts at 6:30. At the BES Auditorium. There's also space to register for the live animal series Touch Tank on Saturday, December 6th at 11 a.m. And there's space remaining for the Cozy Holiday Movie Night at the library Tuesday the 9th for the little ones K through 3rd grade. So go to thebelmarlibrary.com to register. Also, the library is closed tomorrow at 2 p.m. and will remain closed through Sunday, November 30th for the Thanksgiving holiday. December 7th, the Beach Music Studio students and the Danny White Band will be presenting and performing at their annual holiday party at the Stone Pony at 12 p.m. So please check out their website or social media for details. So we do have the holiday market on December 13th. Which is 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. and I believe that's around Piano Plaza and down Main Street. And that's the 14th as well. I want to say 11 to 4 on the 14th, but we'll find out more information and make sure I post it. The Belmar Historical Society will also have a holiday open house from 1 to 3 on December 13th. You can take a tour of the museum and Union Firehouse and browse unusual gifts of Belmar historical items. So that's 900 East Street in the annex of the historic Union Firehouse. Gosh, we have a lot going on. Okay. Oh, Chief, would you mind, I heard that there was possibly a Jolly Soul coming to town. Could you fill us in on what we need to do to make sure we can see that Jolly Soul?
So Santa will be arriving on Monday, December 15th. We have posted on the Facebook page and social media as to what you need to do in order for Santa to come to your house the week prior. I don't want to give out too much information, so check our Facebook page and Belmar's Facebook page for what you need to do and where the gifts need to be dropped off for Santa. Is that good?
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, I appreciate it. The next Belmar Housing Authority meeting will be Monday, December 1st at 5:15. And lastly, I just want to thank you all the active borough residents, volunteers, employees, professionals, and this council. We all work so hard, you all work so hard, and you're all amazing. And you all deserve a very happy Thanksgiving.
You went over your 5 minutes. Of course, now there's nothing left for me to talk about because they gave all the events out and whatever, but I'm going to put a plug in for the Historical Society. Again, 13th, I think is 1 to 3 p.m. So if you haven't been there, or just go check it out. The other thing I'll just bring everyone an update with is the 5th Avenue construction that I've been living with for the last, when did they start that? September 16th, or was it October? It feels like July 16th, but you know, it's been like, it's amazing, it's a lot of work. But I think they're getting to close to Main Street, so I'm assuming that it's winding down. I've seen a few pieces of equipment go off on trailers, so I'm thinking it's going to go down. Even though I did see a few people from the water department on one of the corners today, I'm like, oh, that's never a good sign because they probably hit a water line or something like that. But you know, it's good. That I think it's getting done, and I think it's going to be great. And finally, again, Chief, congratulations on your award. We all appreciate you. And people are talking like you're going someplace, but you're not going someplace yet. So, but you're still with us for a while. And I would like to, you know, again, offer everyone a very happy and healthy holiday, Thanksgiving, and also Christmas, but we have time for that. Not too much time, but we do have time. So get your Christmas shopping done early. And that's it for me. Let's move on to the public session on the resolutions that are on the agenda.
If anyone has a comment or question about a resolution, please step forward, state your name and address.
Ken Pringle, 203 First Avenue. I just have a question about the spending plan. Under expenditure schedule, it describes 100%, we're identified $1.5 million allocated to a future 100% municipally sponsored project / supportive needs housing program. And in the next sentence, it seems that's two different possible projects. Is that right?
I'll have to look at it.
I was just trying to understand kind of on a category basis. I understand from the next sentence, it says at this time, the borough has no definite plans for either of these programs, but are committed to allocating the funding should the opportunity during the 4th round present itself for either or both programs to be realized. And I'm just trying to understand, I've never heard of a municipally sponsored project in this context or a supportive needs housing project. I'm more familiar with those, but I'm trying to understand just what the brackets are that you all are kind of keeping in mind in terms of what types of projects are possible.
I'm going to have to defer to our redevelopment council.
So, as you stated, it does make a reference that there could be allocated toward a future 100% municipally sponsored project to supportive needs housing program. At this time, the borough has no definite plans for either one of these programs, but they just wanted to put the funding in the plan should those programs become available.
Got it, but it says here that they've been discussed during the borough's round 3 negotiations. So I assume that you mean you just discussed it in terms of those vague descriptions, or did you have some discussion of something
As
specific?
far as the possibility of pursuing those opportunities, they were discussed in the context of resolving the 3rd round obligation, which has been resolved.
Okay, would either of those types of projects conceptually possibly encompass replacing some of the units in the senior building from being senior housing to being affordable housing that would satisfy any of the 4th round obligations?
no definite plans, so I couldn't speak to that.
But it's possible that.
There are no definite plans for these programs.
I'm
so
asking
we
you a
can't-
different question. It says you discussed it during these projects have been discussed during the borough's round.
I think I'm gonna intervene here.
I know
That will not be considered unless the commissioners of the Belmar Housing Authority come to us and request that.
Okay, but if they do request that, then it could fall under one of these categories.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thanks, that was my question.
Any other comments? Okay.
Sorry, Mike DePlausio, United. On the spending plan also, one question, the 30,000 allocated, that's for, let's say I own a 5-unit building, right? And I wanna convert that to affordable, I can get 30,000 per unit to convert those?
I think, I don't know if Francis is,
Yeah.
here's a question.
Yeah, I just want to be clear that the borough planner develops the spending plan. So
Okay.
while I have the opportunity to discuss this briefly with her, some of it I do need to defer to the borough planner. She's not here this evening. I can say that, the 30,000 would only be applicable to, an affordable unit. You cannot use affordable housing trust funds on market rate units, even if you're facilitating an affordable unit.
Also, it's 30,000 to improve an already designated affordable unit.
Right, as for this is only
Okay,
rehabilitation.
I thought it was like someone had a 2-family home and they wanted to convert it to affordable. It's already affordable units.
These are rehabilitation, so
Okay.
yeah, I would say
Got
that
it.
is already
Not
for
conversions.
affordable units.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes, yeah.
Any other speakers? Okay.
Can I just address the rehab? We did a.
We only get one. I'm kidding.
Okay. We did a rehabilitation project in the 90s. It was called Yards Edition. It was the section of town south of 12th Avenue where the lots are smaller and the houses are smaller. And we had regional contribution agreement money that we got from Howell, and we used it to do rehabilitation projects of these homes. And you had to go and identify the homeowners, and the homeowners would be income qualified. And we used the money to do improvements of their heating system, weather taping around around the windows, replace windows. It was all designed to make the units more habitable and cheaper to live in. So that was how that would work. And you got credit for those units because of the rehab. We took regional contribution agreement for money from Howell. Howell got the credit. Our residents live better lives. So that's the kind of projects that I think are out there.
Good. Thank you.
Mayor, can I just add, I went to an affordable housing class at the League of Municipalities, and one of the things that they've mentioned is if there are homeowners that have exactly what Mayor Pringle mentioned, that had been part of a rehab project, and maybe they were expired, the credit had expired, that they should, when they can, reapply for it, and it would be back included into the project. So if I don't know personally those homeowners, but I was told to encourage anyone who was part of a past program to re-engage if they're interested.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have more work to do in terms of just, getting our feet wet with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and the ways that it can be used and the spending plan and all that stuff. So, I mean, it's a work in progress. And I think we'll learn as time goes on. And everything sounds good. I think it's great. Any other comments?
Okay, can I have a motion to close the public session?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, resolution 2025-206 was a resolution authorizing refunds. This was separate from the consent agenda because Councilman Donovan is one of the refunds listed. But since we don't have a full council, we don't have enough to vote, so we'll have to table this resolution until the next meeting.
I'm not getting a refund for another couple of weeks.
Story of my life.
All right.
So can I have a motion to approve the resolutions as listed on the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
Second.
Somebody.
Councilwoman Donovan?
Yes.
Mayor Buckles?
Yes.
Councilman Rondero?
Yes.
Okay, next we have second reading and public hearing on ordinance 2025-22. This is an ordinance appropriating funds from the Beach Capital Improvement Fund for the construction of the project known as the 16th Avenue Bathroom Pavilion. This is open for public comment. If anyone would like to speak on this ordinance, please step forward, state your name and address first.
Mr. Freeman? Hold on, we'll get to the.
Am I loud enough?
No. We don't want to hear your words.
Eugene Freeman, Fourth Avenue. Is it coming through now?
Yes, I think so.
These microphones are very directional. I've noticed that when the chief was speaking over there. The other thing is, maybe we should get the newer microphones that they have for using in a crowd, where you actually put a mic condom over the microphone. And then when you leave, you take the condom with you.
Oh,
And whatever else you spit on whatever virus or whatever you were spreading. Anyhow, yeah, I have actually a general question about this, the $300,000. Where did that money come from?
It comes from the beach fund,
Yeah, the Beach Capital Alley.
beach capital
Beach Capital
fund.
Is that from the sale of the beach badges?
I don't know exactly how the capital fund is funded. I mean, I would have to say yes, because the only income that the beach fund gets is from badge sales.
Yeah, I know, that seems to average around $4 or $5 million a year. Actually, badge sales. I just wanted to know, so that this so-called beach capital improvement fund is actually money that came from people that purchased badges to go on to the beach, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that, in order to go on to the beach, that's only from Memorial Day to Labor Day that there is a requirement for a beach badge, correct? Correct?
Yes, I said correct.
Okay. Then, this is really being, constructing a building that's going to have heat in it is really an additional expense, a lot more expensive than putting out trailers, on the beach for the beach goers to use. It's really being unfair to the beach badge purchaser, to take on or paying for something that they absolutely do not need.
All right, so then you want the taxpayers to pay for the part of that?
I'm not saying
Well,
that.
somebody's got to pay for it.
Yeah, but.
If it's not the beach, if it's not coming out of the beach fund, it's got to come out of the general fund. We have no other sources of revenue, of income, so.
Well, it's appropriate to come out of the fund that it's coming out of, because we operate a beach facility, and
But Mr. Kramer's point is, well, it's only going to be used by beachgoers for the summer. So that means the beachgoers shouldn't be paying for it for the other 6 months of the year, which means then the taxpayers have to pay for that, right?
Or you raise the beach badge price, right?
That's not fair.
Well,
Why would I raise the beach badge price?
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying, Mayor. Perhaps this is unnecessary. Perhaps this whole project is a bad idea.
Well, no, we're beyond that. It's a good idea.
Excuse me, you're beyond that, but I just see this thing as being like the Vince Lombardi rest area on the Turnpike, or another rest area on the Garden State Parkway. The beach badge purchaser doesn't need this, period. Why
Okay,
not
well, that's your opinion, and I respect it.
Okay. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
So we got a grant for the building, right? Because this came to the planning board through a grant. How much was that grant, do we know?
What was it? 1.5 million?
So was there an estimate for the building prior to, this is the public bid, right? I saw an advertisement
Yeah.
for the, so there was an estimate for the building prior to, like an engineering estimate, or like did you do a construction manager's estimate, or just an engineering firm?
Engineering.
So, I mean, I do this for a living. I do a lot of public bids. A lot of times when you see this, I'm just worried about taking the money out of a beach fund. Our beach fund is, our beaches take up a lot of money, but have expenses. Why didn't we rebid it? If we had 1.5 million and we got bids, I'm assuming for 1.8, why don't we take something minor out of this building and try to get it down to 1.5 instead of taking money out of our beach capital and using only the grant money?
I know we talked a lot about this last meeting, and I'm sorry, Mike, that you missed it, but Jim Morris really helped us understand why the original estimate was different, and why it makes sense to move ahead with this project now financially. And I don't know whether that's something that, since he's here, he can shed some light on as well as to what the difference were as to the estimate.
I'm not saying reduce something significant, but again, I see this happen all the time. Town gets an estimate, contractors have a different opinion, put it back out to bid. You can get 10 more contractors. People go for the low bid, you can get this down. It happens all the time, we all know it. But I think we're, jumping to it to take $300,000 out of a fund that is pretty valuable to this town. So, I don't know if you have any other opinion on the rebid.
Mayor, if I'd be happy to add some information.
Go ahead, why don't you step up to the mic?
Yeah, Jim explained last meeting, so you
Yeah.
can say the same thing again.
So the grant application that was submitted to the New Jersey Boardwalk Preservation Fund was for, they awarded $1.5 million, but that included all the costs. The borough's share on that was $75,000. 1.2 was for construction, balance was for the soft costs for the architects and engineers, permitting fees, environmental reviews, administrative costs. So really the cost available for construction, I think it's like 1.15. The bids that we received range from 1.8, have that here. Excuse me, I have to put my glasses on, I apologize. So the bids that we received were, low bidder was 1.8. The second low bidder was $2,037,000. The third low bidder was 2.1. Fourth low bidder was 2.1. Fourth low bidder was 2.3 and 2.5. So I'm bringing that up because we had several bids. It was a very competitive bid. The low bidder demonstrated that the bids are in that realm, in that reasonable realm for the construction costs. For us to revise the bid documents, and it wasn't just $300,000 because it's more like $500,000. So we would have to make the building smaller, which basically means going back and going to the architect, redoing the building size, making it smaller, reducing the number of water closets in the unit, which when the design was put forward, we consulted with Public Works with regards to what's in the trailer now, how many do you need long-term. So the building is, I think it has 12 units for the ladies, 12 units for the men. So it's larger than the old beach trailer that was there before because it's there to serve more of the population at that location. So the number, Mr. Blasey, the number is not 300, it's more like $500,000 or $600,000 that we would have to make up, which means we would lose time because we'd have to go probably spend another month at least on redesign. And then from there, we'd have to go back out to bid, and we are up against a clock on this particular project because we have to have the money spent and reimbursed by the end of this year. We really were shooting to have the project open originally for Memorial Day. We're looking at hopefully having it open for 4th of July. So we would essentially push everything out to the end of the summer it's one of your busiest locations, when you look at 16th Avenue. So, my recommendation was that we had very competitive bids. You would spend more money on revising the documents, so that, again, costs would go up. And the only way you could really conceivably save any kind of money would, again, to make the building smaller, which defeats the long-term purpose of having that size building at that location.
But I thought I heard you say too that we had to have it under contract before the end of the year. Is that you said, or else we would lose the grant?
Not necessarily that, but we have to have it completely spent and reimbursed by the end of 2026.
Okay.
So there's a process by which we have to abide by with the Department of Community Affairs. Now, if there are additional monies that become available through this fund, the borough will, if they haven't already, apply for that money. So if monies do come back to the program, the Department of Community Affairs says that they have the ability to reimburse the borough for any monies that you've spent above the original 1.5. So that hopefully will result in the borough getting money back from that perspective. The other thing is, in the 1.8, there's $100,000 in allowance. So really, hopefully we'll have a change order down at the project level that we would see that allowance not utilized.
Okay.
Hopefully that answers your question.
So,
I'm gonna ask Mr. King, do we know how much money we have in the beach capital fund? Offhand,
I don't have that number.
I mean, is this $3,000 gonna be to the point where it's depleting the fund?
No.
No, I mean,
Excuse me, no.
are we not gonna be able to do anything on the beach because we're spending $300,000 on the
No.
on the bathroom?
No.
No, okay. But maybe we should you know, just look at and let people know how much money is actually in that fund. I could probably look it up here, but I don't want to take the time.
Yeah, we could have it for next meeting.
Yeah, but you know, my concern would be that, you know, if we're using money that, you know, is going to prevent us from doing something else on the beach, you know, then we'd look at it, but I don't think that ever came up in any of the discussions I was involved in, that we were putting, you know, the beach fund or the, you know, beach operations at any kind of a financial risk by doing this.
No, our CFO was comfortable with that number, so we'll have the exact number for you next meeting.
Okay. Any other comments on this ordinance? Barry?
Barry Lubin, 15th Avenue. Comment on what Mr. Kramer was saying. The permanent building is an asset to the town. I understand what you're saying with the expense. You said heating it. Why are we heating it? Well, we're heating it so it doesn't freeze. But then we're also working with DEP and things like that, where the permanent building is a good thing. The expense, Billy can tell me how much time and effort it takes to move the trailer to there each year. The gas bill, while that building is locked, just keeping the pipes from freezing, that's all it is $100. So it's totally minimal in that respect.
Plus we have to remember too, this is being done for the public's good. I mean, you know, we have the Fifth Avenue one open, and I've heard from many people who walk the boardwalk in the wintertime, like, oh, this is great. You know, if we have to go to the bathroom, we just go right up into the, you know, so we have many, and we've had people say to us, why can't the trailers be open, you know, all year round? So, you know, it's also being done for the people who are on the boardwalk all year round. And, you know, and that's really the main reason for wanting to keep it open all year, so that it's a convenience. You know, if you drive, I mean, we all live in Belmar for years. If you come up on a nice Sunday in February, you'll see people walking on the boardwalk. So I think it's a tremendous asset for the borough to do that.
For somebody who has worked that end of the boardwalk, my part-time job, I don't want to see any units removed from that facility, because I think the Fifth Avenue building has too few units from what people have bitched and moaned.
Okay. Anything else?
Okay, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
And can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-22?
Motion.
Second.
Councilwoman Donovan?
Yes.
Mayor Buckafusco?
Yes.
Councilwoman Romero?
Yes.
And last item is ordinance 2025-23, an ordinance approving and adopting an amendment to the amended redevelopment plan for the Seaport redevelopment area. Do we have a motion to offer this ordinance for first reading and introduction?
I did mine.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Councilwoman Donovan?
Yes.
Mayor Buckafusco?
Yes.
Councilwoman Romero?
Yes.
Okay, now we're on the public session. If anyone would like to speak, just remember to please state your name and address first.
Good evening, Linda Sharkus, 4th Avenue. I'm hoping you can help me understand why we didn't get more affordable units from the developers who have already been approved. And that we, in places of 10 units instead of the 20%. Is there a reason we didn't push for 20 and the courts agreed? Because I thought that was the
As I've said many times, this was a three-way negotiation. So it was not simply a matter of us saying, we want X number of units. Because as soon as somebody said something like that, then the developer would say, well, we need another floor. So then that butts up against the whole idea of trying to limit the height of the building. Or then the next thing is, well, then we need more parking. So there were like 3 or 4 or 5 variables going around at the same time. So it wasn't simply, the developer, and I'm saying this and I'm chuckling, the developer could always say, we want to give you more units than we have to. There's nothing that says they have to be at 20%. They could have said, oh yeah, we'll give you 25%. But no, they're not amenable to doing that because it cuts into their profit. It's obviously they're in this to make money. So, and I can't fault them for that.
Was it 20%?
You gotta remember the overlord of all of this, as I like to say, is the Fair Share Housing Group. They're the ones who really are controlling the string as to how many units they will be agreeable to. If they said, we don't, this development has 50%, and they're saying, no, we don't agree to that, well then we'd have to continue negotiating. If it comes to 15% or 16% and Fair Share Housing says, yep, that's fine, and that's fine.
But wasn't the whole idea is that 20% would be amidst all the other units, as opposed to 10% is a relatively small number compared to the units that are going in. So I don't understand who was representing us in those discussions to get such, we wouldn't be in this situation if we had received more units from the other
We
buildings.
would gladly have approved more units. It's really the gatekeeper was the Fair Share Housing Center.
But who represented?
We had our attorneys representing us.
So
All of those projects were happening, all of these projects were happening without affordable housing.
Yeah, so to the councilman's point, these projects, when they first were brought to the borough, probably 3 or 4 years ago, didn't include any affordable housing. They were all market rate. The intervenor projects, which ultimately turned into intervenor projects, did not include any affordable housing. So it was a very difficult negotiation as far as getting, how many affordable units would be included. As the mayor said, these projects, there's a couple levers. Obviously, the developer's interest is financial. The more each affordable unit costs the developer a certain amount of money. It's generally, back of the envelope math is, it's 4 market rate units to fund 1 affordable unit. So the more affordable units you force onto a project or include in a project, it increases the density, and as the mayor mentioned, increases the parking. None of the projects, none of the intervenor projects include 10% affordable units. I'm not sure where you're getting that number. The minimum number, I think, is 15%, some of it's maybe 17%. Some of the intervenor projects, one of the intervenor projects is 20%. So those were the intervenor projects, that was for the third round. Going forward, the borough has adopted a mandatory set-aside ordinance that redevelopment projects that are greater than 5 units will now be required to have a 20% set aside. So that is going forward, finally wrapping up the third round obligations, which have been lingering within the borough for 10, 15 years. Now going forward, there is a mandatory 20% set aside.
So to that point, those projects that have already been approved but have not been started, will they be required to add the affordable?
No, well, they already have the affordable. You mean
Not
those
the
intervenor
smaller-
projects?
No, the smaller projects that have been approved.
No, once a project receives its preliminary site plan approval or site plan approval, there's no ability for the borough to go back and negotiate. They would be subject to being exposed to litigation because they've received a representation from the borough that they have an approval. You can't then go back and say, we're withdrawing that approval and requiring you to do something additional.
Okay, well, thank you.
Would anyone else like to make a comment?
Claire Hayner, 18th and B. Let me just say thank you for repeating things over and over and over again. Because I've been to most of these meetings and I've heard it over and over again. And I wish everybody watched all the meetings and came to the meetings and could hear it so that everybody didn't have to constantly repeat different things. And one other thing was, we did miss the last meeting, but Councilwoman, Council President Montanaro, thank you so much for the workshop that you gave. I had asked for that years ago. It was great. It's an explanation of everything, so that when the things come up for, public session questions, most of the questions are already answered. So thank you for that. I do really appreciate it. And also appreciate all the time that you put in over the past 3 years. And I just hope that you don't disappear out of Belmar like so many people do after they've been up there. Thank you and happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving. And I just want to say, we don't mind repeating things because, as a former teacher, people have different ways of learning things, and some people just need to hear something more than once. And some of the things we're discussing are not intuitively, easy to grasp on the first round. So I think it's not a problem for us to explain things over if we have to. So I don't want anybody to think they shouldn't get up and ask a question because we might have answered it once before. Any other comments?
Okay, can I have a motion to close the public session and adjourn the meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
And-
Aye.
Aye.